Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening. Welcome back. Welcome to Cloud and DevOps Batch 58. So, before I start the session, I just want to give you a quick recap on what's being covered in the previous session. We discussed about shebang notation. What is a shebang notation? And then what are the escape sequence characters? What is a color? What is a variable? What is a dynamic var? What are special variables? What is an exit code? And exit codes. These are the things that we have written. So, oftentimes, okay, we might end up when we are running some script, it should break the script and should ask the user. Okay, it should break the script and then it should ask. So in that cases, okay, we can use this is a very one of the most underrated, which not used option. Okay, this is a read. Okay, so what this done is, okay, for example, whenever you run the script, it should break and ask you the input. So for example, read -p. Okay, uh, echo. This script will proceed by taking input from the user. Okay, so maybe I say enter value of a. Okay, you can mention a. If you want to print, okay, value of a is $a. So what happens is it is going to print the value of a. Let me try to show you that. Already connect to the server. Make a git clone. And also, guys, I forgot to tell you, all the time, make sure you come here and try to look at your billing dashboard. Okay, so if you come here and if you try to look at your billing dashboard, you come to know what is the billing that came up so far. So month to date cost so far is $2.29. And if you look at the previous month balance, you can come here, last month, how much I got. Okay, go here and try to look for July. And you can see July month billing is this much. Okay, which I need to pay. Okay, that is one thing. And so go back and try to proceed. Okay, oftentimes keep an eye. So cd to learn shell bash 009. If you run this, okay, do you get full? And also, when you type gp is equal to git pull, okay, you might think it is working, right? But if you exit, okay, and if you exit and if you try to sign in, that means if you move your session and if you try to sign in, okay, the command will no longer work. Okay, why? Because alias is temporary. So for each and every profile inside the home directory, okay, for each and every user, there is something called as a bash profile. So whatever has to happen when someone signs in can be placed here. Okay, maybe you can say welcome to, okay, welcome to bash scripting. Okay, welcome to bash scripting. You need to say echo. So it's going to print echo bash scripting. And at the same time, I also want alias gp is equal to git pull. So whenever you logs into the system, this will be executed. Okay. So this way you don't have to type all these things. So whenever you want some actions to be happening, the moment you sign in, you are supposed to put it in the git bash profile. Okay. So yeah. These are just shortcuts, by the way. Bash 009. It says there is an error. What is the error? Come here, read. What is the mistake? Okay, this is supposed to be inside. Okay, that's a challenge. If you come here and if you see this, one more mistake. Line 5 and line 6. This is missing. Yes, here also you need to close the code, right? I opened the code, but never close the code. Can you see this? Now, if you see this, it is asking the value of A. And if the value of A is 100, now the value of A is 100. Likewise, you can also put multiple aspects. Okay, for example, okay, so value of A, okay, and value of B, okay, spend echo sum of A plus B. A plus B is equal to, you can also mention, okay, A plus B, this is an arithmetic operation. You can do that. Come here. I think you need to put in double quotes. So this time I'm going to put 10 and it's asking me 20, and the value of A plus B is equal to the sum of, I think whenever these expressions are there, you need to put them in the double parenthesis. I think if I'm not wrong, 100, 300. Yeah, can you see this? So whenever you want to put an expression like A plus B, B minus A and all, okay, expressions that are arithmetic should be, okay, keep this point in mind. But this breaks the script, which is not at all recommended, which is not really used much. Okay, keep this point in mind. Any questions on this, anyone? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions?
Yes,
Rachit, go
uh,
ahead.
yes. Actually, I have one question. So, this is best practice that when we work on a Git repo, so we have to pull from first on our laptop, since other team members can also work. So it will not be updated on our laptop to start the work, right? Git
Obviously,
pull,
yes.
Git
Whenever
pull
you want any fresh changes, it's always recommended to run GP git pull, which is going to pull the changes. Okay?
on, yes, in VI Coder. So all new changes will be updated.
Yes. Yes. You're true.
Okay, okay.
All right. And the next thing is functions. Okay. So let me try to talk about functions. So let's try to understand. In Linux, there are four types of commands. One is binary based commands. Whatever the commands that you see in bin and sbin are called as the binary commands. So type bin. Oh, sorry. Type cat. Can you see this? It is a binary command. Type fdisk. It is an sbin command. Commands that belong to the user or commands that need root level user are fall under the sbin. Sbin stands for secure bin. Okay, this is one thing you need to understand. Aliases, okay, aliases are shortcuts which we already discussed. Okay, for example, if you want to say netstat, okay, hyphen tlpn, rather than you executing this, okay, all the time, you can just create an alias. Alias st is equal to netstat hyphen tlpin. Just say st all the time, you'll get netstat hyphen tlpin. And if you want the same thing, this, you can also do this. Okay? One second. This is one way of dealing. And functions. So functions, okay, I'll keep this point in mind. And again, shell built-in commands we forget. You take any flavor of Linux. So there are some built-in commands like cd, pwd, export. So for example, type cd. This is a shell built-in command. And for example, type the pwd. It is a shell built-in command. And type export. It's a shell built-in command, and you to go ahead and to use export alias. This is a shell built-in commands. Okay. In order to use alias, it should be an inbuilt command. Okay. So keep this in mind. These are something that comes up as a part of the shell. Okay. Now functions. So whenever you have a common pattern of code, so rather than writing the same pattern n number of times, you can declare it once and can use it n number of times. For example, how to declare a function. How to declare a function. So this is the name of the function. Open parenthesis and close parenthesis. Open flower bracket and close bracket. Echo. Hi. Echo. Hello. Echo. Hola. Okay. I mentioned these many things, and I also who am I? Okay. And I also want uptime. Okay. And I also want who hyphen r. So who hyphen r. Hmm. Okay. That's okay. If I want to execute these many commands at a time, whenever I want, I can do that. For example, echo today we are learning bash. Okay, and this is how, like, function. How can you call a function? This is how you can call a function. Okay, you can call this n number of times. Echo, I can call one more time. That means whenever you want, you just need to say the name of the function. Now it's going to call 2 times. See this, bash, now say gp, bash. And you see this, today we are learning bash, all these things are completed, and again one more time is completed. So functions play a very important role in keeping the code dry. Functions play a very important role in keeping the code dry. Okay, this is very, very, very important. All right. So you can also write some meaningful functions like, okay, rather than this, you can say statistics. Okay, maybe you can say what we can do is echo today's date is dollar of this. We learned it already, plus percentage of and echo. So load average on the system is something is missing. Yeah. Okay. So load average on the system is, I just want uptime and echo run level. So run level is a command. It's going to show you M5. Okay. Run level of the system is U-R. Okay. So today we are learning bash. Okay. And this is going to call the function. So here stat as a function. Okay. Okay. This is how you can call a function. Okay. This helps you in keeping the code dry. All right. That is one thing. And next very important thing that I want to talk is outputs. Okay. Uh, there is a concept called as a redirectors. So this is a very, very important, which helps you in keeping things beautify. Okay. This helps you in eliminating things that you really don't want. Okay. So what is redirectors? Okay. So before that, let's try to understand there are two things. Standard output, how inputs and outputs are categorized. Okay. So outputs, standard output, which is nothing but you're asking what is 2 plus 3, and it is giving an output of 5. And the value of 5 is a standard output. The expected errorless output. And if you get some error, whatever the error that you get is referred as a standard error. Okay. And next thing that I want to talk is, okay, standard error, error output. Okay. So for example, we can go to bash, echo hi is a standard output, and echo, and if you say, and if you, for example, if you use some incorrect command, and if you say this, whatever the output that you got is called as a standard output. Standard output. So these redirectors are going to help us a lot. So for example, okay, listen carefully. So standard output. Okay, so ls-ltr, you're getting an output. and I don't want this output to be displayed here. Instead, I want to display it. If I want to save this output into a file, you can use something called as this, okay, op.log. Now, what it is going to do, whatever the output that comes up will be sent to the file called as a op.log. op.log. You need to remember one more point very importantly, the existing content will be overridden. So you don't see any output because the standard output is sent here. So come here, can you see this? Now you come here and try to say df-h, right? Now this output I would like to send it to, okay, or I'll say sudo lsblk. Okay, this output I would like to send it to OP. Now you know what will happen? The existing content on the file will be overridden. Okay, again you come here and try to run one more time. Okay, mm, ls-ltr. You do this, so the existing content will be overridden. Okay, if you want existing content should be there on the top of it, it should be coming up. In that case, you are going to use something called as double redirector. So when you use two redirections, what it means to the system is whatever the content that is available in this file will be there on the top of it, it is going to be present. Can you see this? Now, for example, I also want to know the uptime output. You can simply do the same thing. Double OP, that's it. Now read it. So the existing content is also there. Now again, I want one more content, ROM level. Can you see this? Because I just mentioned one, which is going to override the whole content. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, can you see this? This content is there. This content is also there. Run level, uptime, this time. This is called as a output redirector. It is also called as a standard output redirector. Okay. So how about error? Okay, for example, ls, okay, lsblk is a, you're getting some output. Instead, if you run some wrong command, you got an output, right? And this output is called as a standard error. But if you ask a standard error to be entered into this file, it won't. Okay, this output redirector only encourages standard output. If it is an error, it's not going to take it. It's not going to take it. So if you want to take the standard output, okay, ls-ltr, okay, you're getting an output. Cat, okay, right? Now, if you want errored output, okay, all you need to do is 2. So in case if there are any issues, okay, the standard output, the standard error will be sent along with this. Okay, that's the difference. Can you see this? So 1 greater than or 1, 2 greater than symbols is going to redirect the output, and at the same time it's going to redirect the content by without overwriting the content. If you want to capture only the standard error, then you are going to use this. Okay, so 1 or 2. Okay, if you want to append this, but I don't care whether it is standard output or standard error. We are going to send it using ampersand or at the rate symbol. Okay, so ls-ltr cat. Can you see this? Now, for example, the same thing, I'll say some nonsense. Still, it will be captured. Can you see this? This command not found. Okay, this is how you can capture the standard output and standard error. So likewise, you can also input redirector. What this is called as a input output redirectors. Okay, output redirectors. Okay, and input redirector is something this. Okay, so for example, you're running a MySQL command, and for the MySQL command, okay, what you're telling is, okay, standard output is to send the output to a file. Standard input is to run this command, take the input from this file and execute this. So when we are loading the schema with a single command, we executed the entire schema injection. I don't know how many of you remember or not. So let me show you that. if you look at this, MySQL-H. Okay, I'm supplying the IP address. And if you look at this input redirector, that means execute this command by reading the data from this file. Okay, so whatever the commands that you have mentioned will be taken as an input and will be sent into this. That means reading the file and entering it, just like a user running this command and then entering this command, standard input. Okay, that's it. And anything else? Any questions, anyone? Any questions? Want to take a pause? If you don't ask any questions also, I'll just take a pause. Any questions? Am I audible? Can someone please confirm me?
Yes, Manoj, you're audible.
Yes, Manoj.
All right, any other questions?
No, not from my side.
Manoj, can you show one example for this actually?
We
Any
already
simple example? Yes, any
mm,
simple example for this, for
this
indirect. Yes.
I mean uh, first of all, did you understand this or not?
Yes, understand actually.
Then
So,
what do you mean by simple? I mean there is
uh,
nothing simple, by the way. Okay, anything if you don't understand is complex. Anything which you understand on a single shot is easy. I mean I don't understand any other example with simple. So if you could brief that statement, I can talk more.
okay, like I want to start any service. Okay, so can I redirect the value from file like systemctl status, and I
Okay,
want to check the
one
SSD
thing,
service? Yes.
one thing, you can do anything. Okay,
Okay.
it's about how best you can do and how simple it can be. And the same thing can be done with a simple command, system control start or system control status nginx, and just use an output redirector to send the output. So when you're starting a service, you get an output. When you're getting an output, you need to send it to a file. Starting a service is an output action, not an input action, right?
No, no, the value service name actually. So we can redirect this from file. Uh, the
Not
name of
clear with your
service
question.
as a, actually systemctl space status,
Mhm.
and I will redirect the value of the name of service from this file actually. That is sssd dot service. So in that case, it will work actually. Uh,
Um, I'm sorry to say I'm not clear with your requirement.
No, I am saying I want to check the services of 10 services. Okay.
Mhm.
So I have listed these services in a file.
Mhm.
Okay. A, B, C, D, E, F, G,
Mhm.
like example. Okay.
That time you don't
So,
use input. Instead, you use a loop.
okay, for loop, you are
Yes.
suggesting.
Yes. If that is a
Okay.
condition, if you say I declared the service names in a file,
Yes.
then the simplest way is running a loop, right? It's not about doing with one condition. It with which option is better for which purpose. For your requirement, doing it with for loop is easy.
Okay.
Okay. For example, others
Yes.
don't worry on this. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. If this is your case, okay. For I can just say dollar off file do. So In your case, you're gonna put system control start service name. That's all.
Okay, so your means indirect is useful when we want to provide the username password in a command or like this. That in that case,
Yes.
indirect is useful,
Not
right?
indirect, input.
Sorry, input
Yes.
is useful.
So when you want to
Yes.
execute a set of actions, for example, I have a lot of content in the schema file. I want the
Yes.
whole action to be as an input for my command. For example,
Okay.
if you take this, I want to
Yes.
use this as a complete input. For example, whatever comes up here, whatever is available in this, take the entire content available in this file as a single input and supply this to this. In this case, it makes sense. But whatever you said is not a single input. It's a multiple pieces of inputs, right? That case, you
Okay.
need to use loop. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. Got it.
So the next thing that I think through is conditions. Okay, conditions. Okay, so conditions are very helpful. Okay, so for example, if the value is this, then do that. Okay, if the value is this, then do that. If not, do this. If you are landing into such situations, you use something called as if-else conditions. If or if-else or else-if conditions. Okay, these are very, 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 very important. Okay, let me talk about this very detailed. Okay, so if you guys are clear, we'll talk. Are you clear so far? Anyone? Everyone? Okay, you take any programming language, these are widely used. Okay, so first is simple if. That means you're going to open if and close it with fi, and you're going to mention the expression, and whatever the expression you mention here is true. Again, expression is like 10 is equal to 20. That's true. That's false. Okay, if the exit code is equal to 10, and if the exit code is equal to 10, then I want to execute this. That means whatever you mention, if the value that you mention is true, then this statement will be executed. Okay, let me try to give an example. Okay, so let me come here, 013 if dot sh. Okay, then bash. Okay, the easiest thing that I can say is, okay, for example, echo hyphen a demo on if condition, for example. Okay, uh, if okay, when you open if, close it with fi. Okay, use square brackets. For example, if I say if dollar action, okay, if dollar action is equal to start, if dollar action is equal to start. Okay, keep this point in mind. If you are using the left side value in quotes, you should also use the right side value in quotes. And if you don't use the left side value in quotes, and you cannot use the value in right side quotes. Okay, this is also true and this is also true. But one side using quotes and the other side not using quotes is a invalid syntax. Okay, so you're using this. So then, okay, semicolon, once the expression is completed, just put a semicolon and then. So then you can mention whatever you want. Okay, so you can say echo hyphen e slash e. Okay, back and started. For example, that's it. Okay, yeah. Now I also want to give some exit codes. Okay, exit 0. All right. Now I'll show you. You can also give your own exit codes. Okay, gp bash. Now there is no value, right? So you have not supplied the value of action. So action is null. Null is not equal to start. So this condition, this expression is not true. And that's the reason it completed. It has not executed. Now what I'm gonna do, I'll just say action is equal to $1. Rachit, what does this mean? Action is equal to $1. What does that mean?
This is variable actually. Yes, one is meaning actually I'm missing. One is for,
Rachit, you're
but
not
this is
focusing on what is really needed. I'm very
no,
sure on it.
no. This is variable, but one is for. Actually, I am forgetting this
You need to, are you
dollar.
practicing on a day-to-day basis?
Yes. Actually, some last time, some classes missed actually.
See, so Rachit, please consider practicing on a day-to-day basis. I know you're a very interested person and I
Yes,
want to make sure you take best. Okay.
sure,
So
sure.
when you're asking questions to me, when I'm answering it, you're also responsible for answering the questions that I have covered so far. Okay. So
Okay,
going forward,
okay.
I want you to practice. I'm not going to ask anything outside what I taught. This is something that I yesterday only discussed, arguments. Okay. Okay. So
Yes,
please consider it as a suggestion and a feedback. I want you to practice. Okay.
sure.
Sumit,
Uh,
what is this? Action is equal to $1. What does this mean?
Actually, no, first of all, I am asking you multiple times to unmute me, but
Oh, is it? Okay. I'm sorry for that. Yeah. See, one
whenever
thing.
you are saying
Okay.
you have any question, I
Is it? I'm
ping you
sorry for that.
multiple times. You can see the chat also.
All right.
Okay,
All right.
so this is
Okay.
kind
One
of
more
the
thing. Yeah. Just a request. This is a mistake from mine. I need to acknowledge. I didn't enable the chat option, but you also have an option called as Q&A. So
inside Q&A
yeah.
only. Actually, I pinged.
One second. Actually, what happened was Zoom was updated and a few of the options were okay. All right. Yeah, I'll just align myself. Yeah, Sumit.
Means
Yeah.
yesterday also actually the same kind of thing
Okay.
happened with me, but
Yeah.
actually my question answered in bit after session
Yeah.
progressed.
No,
That's why I have not
that's a mistake
asked.
from my end. Okay. I didn't
No,
notice you
no
raising
problem.
hand. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so $1 basically we are using when we are giving any argument after the command
Exactly.
like
First
$1,
argument, second
$2,
argument, third
yeah,
argument. You're right.
argument third.
Right. So come here, bash 013. Okay. Stop. And if you see demo on if condition, and it has not executed. And if you come here and if you say start, okay, even now it has not executed. Why? So if dollar, okay, because the condition is if dollar action is equal to start, then use this. Okay, action is equal to $1. Do a git pull. Now it will work. Okay, can you see this? Okay, now you also need to use echo hyphen e slash e 32m. It's not echo, it's exit. Okay. Okay, backend is starting. And if you come here and if you try to change the exit code, it is 0, right? Now, if I try to give something else, okay, now if the values action is equal to this, then it is starting. If it is not this, nothing is there, right? In that case, you can also use if else condition. What do you mean by that? Okay, so right now, if the condition is true, I want to do something. But if the condition is not true, what do I need to do? Okay, you can use something called as else. Okay, so hyphen e, you can just say, okay, valid uh, start is a valid option. Start is valid option, and whenever anyone executes apart from start, and I want to give an exit code as 3. So let me try to show you that. That means if the script is very, very big, so using this option, you can enumerate where your script was a failure. Okay, now come here, exit code is 0. Now you come here and try to say something. Okay, start is valid option. And if you come here, the exit code comes up as, okay, and if the exit comes as exit 3. So who told you the code to be 3? Here. Okay. Clear, guys? Any questions on this? Any questions? Now, likewise, you have some other options as well. Okay. It's just demo on. If else, if you have multiple such conditions, demo on else if. Okay. Else, if the value is start, do this. Else if. Okay. You can also use this. Else if the action is equal to stop, then you can say, okay, backend is stopping. Backend is stopping. And you can also say one more else if, for example, okay, restart, backend is restarting. And apart from start, stop, and restart, if anyone gives, okay, what I want to message is echo entered option is invalid. Okay. Valid options are start or stop, start or stop or restart only. Okay. Come here and let us see that. And again, these are case sensitive, by the way. Though you mention, okay, to get pulse, something. Can you see this? Unexpected end of the file, line number 37. There is a syntax error. Echo hyphen slashy 31 now. Something we are missing. Yeah, you cannot use the one exit code 1, exit code 2, 3. Fine. Line number 38. Oh, line number 38. Okay. There's another mistake. Else if. Okay, by the way, it is not else if, it is ALIF. Okay, this is another mistake I made. Yeah. It's not else if. Okay, this is a blunder. All right. Can you see this? I'm just saying start. It says backend is starting. If I say stop, backend is stopping. And if I say restart, backend is restarting. Okay, and if I say reload, reload option is not aware, so it is clearly saying boss, valid options are start, stop, or restart only. Okay, so this is one thing about it. All right, clear? All right. Any other questions on if-else conditions? If-else conditions are going to play a very important role in optimizing a lot of aspects. Okay, take a minute, pause to think if you have any questions. All right, I'll take it as no questions. So whenever you're using this, okay, there is a way that we need to use, okay? These, whatever you're using, this is called as an expression. And whatever the symbol that you're using is called as an operator. Based on the type of data that you are dealing, the operator changes, okay? I'm not going to talk more on it, but let's try to understand, okay? Operators. Okay. So when, okay, based on the data that you are dealing, whether you're dealing numbers or whether you're dealing strings or whether you're dealing files, if you are dealing numbers, okay, the operators available are equal to hyphen eq, not equal to hyphen na, gt greater than, hyphen ge greater than or equal to, hyphen lt less than, hyphen le less than or equal to. Okay, 1 hyphen eq 1, obviously true. 1 hyphen equal to 1 is not equal to 1, that is false. If you're talking about strings like Manoj, DevOps, Cloud, this is used to assign the value. If you say a is equal to 10, that means you are assigning the value of 10 to a. But if you are asking a is equal to 10, that means you are asking a and 10 are same or not? No, they are not same. Okay, technically this is a string operation, and this is like a not equal to. Okay, and hyphen z hyphen n, these are like hyphen z variable. This returns true if the variable is not having any data. That means I want to run something if the variable is not having any data. The exact opposite is hyphen and var. That means this expression is going to true if it is having any value or the variable is supplied with any data. As simple as that. Okay. So hyphen f file. If the file is there, then return true. If the file is not there, then it is false. Hyphen t. That means check if the directory exists or not. If the directory exists, do this. If the directory doesn't exist, don't do it. Okay. Like you want to run a file operation saying that whenever you're running any task, you want to make sure you need to delete the directory. If the directory exists, delete it. And if the directory doesn't exist, don't delete it. So you can use these things. Okay. This is one thing I wanna talk. Okay. Next thing is loops. Okay, loops are very, very, very important. Okay. So let me try to talk about this. Loops. So when you know how to operate loops, your life is going to be very easy, very, very easy without any complications. Okay. For example, if you want to execute some task on some n number of servers, that means you need to do the same operation n number of times. So what you can do is you can use loops. Okay, so loops, when you want to run something for some number of times, then you are going to use loops. But Manoj, you told when you want to do something for a more number of times to keep code dry, we are going to use functions. Then why the hell are you talking about loops? Function is you are going to declare it, and whenever you want to call, you'll call it on need basis. But loop is not like that. When you want to run something continuously for 10 number of times, 20 number of times, you can use loop. Again, in loop, there are two varieties, for loop and while loop. When you're very sure, when you're certain about how many number of times that you want to run, in that case, you are going to use a for loop. Okay. When you're not sure about this, you want to run this based on a condition. Like, I want to run this unless until the value is 0. In that case, you are going to use while loop. When you know how many number of times you want to run, you'll use for loop. When you're not sure how many number of times you want to run, you can use a while loop. So let me try to show you that syntax of it. Okay, for okay, wherein I can mention A, B, C, D, E. So here var is the variable name. It can be anything, I, Z, anything. So every time the loop runs, first time the value of var is first time the value of a var is A, second time the value of var is B, and third time the value of var is C, and fourth time the value of var is D, and fifth time the value of var is E. Okay. Do done. Okay, whenever you use do, you need to close it with a done. then you're gonna say echo value is $var. Okay, so the first, when it is executing the loop, first time the value is this, second time the value is this, third time the value is this, fourth time the value is this. Let me try to show you that. Can you see this? Value of A, value of B, value is. Okay, this is one thing I want to talk. Any questions? So let me try to show you a while loop. Okay, while loop. Okay, so if someone asks you, I want to run this indefinite number of times. Okay, so we can say while true. Okay, so while true is like while expression do done commands to execute. So this will keep on executing unless until the expression is false. Okay, so why when you say while true, that means this will be true all the time. This is an infinite loop. Okay. Okay. I'll say while true. So that means it is going to be true all the time whenever you use do, done, echo hyphen e. I just say slash t, that means tab space and then slash n while loop example. So it's going to run indefinite number of times. It can even kill your system. Okay, bash. It's going to run indefinitely, continuously. Or if you want to really see whether it is really coming up or not, just say sleep 0.3. Can you see this? Continuously it runs forever. Okay. So yeah. Any questions, anyone? I think with this knowledge, we are sufficient enough to kickstart and fulfill our functional requirements. Any questions, anyone? Any questions? Raw.
Hi Manoj, Sumit this side. Actually, this variable function is not clear to me.
Which variable and which function?
This hyphen z
Okay, this one. Okay,
side
the operators. So this is
operators,
like,
right?
yeah. So you want to execute some action, for example. Okay, when you want to do, when a variable like a, okay, for example, if you mention it as a, if you declare a is equal to 10, okay, that means you have declared the value of a, then it is true. Then whatever the condition, whatever the values that you have mentioned inside the expression will be executed. And for example, you have not declared a is equal to 10. In that case, if you want to execute some actions, then you are going to use -n. Like I want to execute a set of action when the value of a is declared. I don't care what the value of a, but I'm only considering that the value of a is declared or not. For example, you also have a situation where I want to execute these actions only if the value is not declared. For example, you have not declared the value of a, then only you want to run the set of actions. Okay, so I want to do some actions if a variable is declared. I want to do some actions if a variable is not declared. So under these circumstances, we are going to use -z or -a. Okay, -z $a. This is true if var is not having any data. Make sense? Clear?
Okay, understood, Manoj.
Right. Any other questions, anyone? Okay. Any other questions, anyone? Questions? So with these learnings, I would like to apply our learnings that we learned so far. If you are clear, we can proceed. Questions? Questions, guys? Any questions? And also, guys, there is a special file in Linux, and the name of the file is dev/null. Okay. The speciality of this file is it is a null file. That means whenever you are getting an output, I don't want that output to be seen on my screen. I want to be sent to somewhere where I want to nullify it immediately. So in that case, what you can do is you can use this. Okay. So dev/null is a file that is going to nullify the file. Okay. This is going to nullify the file. Okay. Can you see this? So you never see the output on this. So whatever the output that comes up, it is being redirected to a file, null file, which is going to nullify the file immediately. Okay, this is one very important point I want to talk to you. All right. Perfect, guys. Okay, so let's try to get started on this. Unless until you are not clear. Any questions so far? Okay, all right. So what I want to do is with the learnings that we made, basics, front end, let's try to see how best we can automate. Okay. Why did I even move these aspects outside? I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, learn shell. Okay, so here expense. Okay, so what I want to do is let's try to understand expense automation. Okay, so let's try to do it in a mature way. Okay, bash automation. Automation. Okay. Okay, so underneath this we are going to write, okay, 001 runtime. Okay, let's try to see what all we have. So we already automated the whole effort, right? But we are going to do it in a more mature way now. Okay, so right now we haven't mentioned just shebang notation. Okay, right now by default it is taking bash, but for example, if in your organization if they ask you to use G shell or fish or anything, you need to mention shebang notation. Without shebang notation, nothing is perfect. Okay, so first and so here if you run this, actions are happening. I don't mind, right? So first let's go ahead and try to create 3 servers. Okay, 3 servers. For now, we can also call it as a front end. Meanwhile, okay, I'd like to launch 2 more servers. Done. So let's go with front end. Okay. So for the front end, what I'm gonna do is sudo set -. hostname, enter. Done. Now, what I want to do. So now you come here and try to make a git clone, right? Expense automation, 32 expense, right? Now what I want to do is I would like to start with the automation. Okay, so let's try to push the code. Get pull, right? Bash front-end datasets. Now everything will be executed, and if you see this, now look at this. If you come here and if you try to look at this, it got failed. And what is the reason for the failure? What is the reason for the failure? Anyone can tell me? This has to be executed as a root user. This has to be executed as a root user, right? So I want to make sure, see here, I don't want to execute the commands first and then system knowing, okay, the script is being executed by the non-root user, so I want to fail. I don't want that. I don't want to waste system's time like that. First, I want to see whether the user who is executing the script is a root user or not. If the user is not a root user, I do not even want to proceed further. So the first action that I want to do is I want the script to be executed as a root user. If the script is not executed as a root user, I don't even want to proceed further. How can I do that? How can I do that? Anyone? Any questions?
Using if condition.
Exactly. So I can use an if condition. What is the condition is a second story. If, okay, then if, so if this is the syntax of it. Sorry. If then, okay. So go if then F5. Okay. So if you look at this, if then this, that's all. Now, how do I know whether the user who is executing the script is a root user or not? Anyone? So in any flavor of Linux, if the UID of the user account is 0, that means it is a root user. If the UID of the account is not non-zero, that means it is not a non-root account. So if you want to know more information about this, you can use man. Man stands for manual. Okay, for each and every command, for 99% of the commands, we have a manual page. And if you want to know who just the UID, you can use -u. Okay, you can type Control Z to come out. So ID -u, that tells you just the ID. So can I use this here? $R ID -u, or you can also do the same thing here. ID is equal to $of ID -u, $of ID -u. So you can also do if $of ID hyphen equal to or hyphen NE. Okay, if $of ID is not equal to 0, okay, if it is not equal to 0, that means I want to execute it as a non-root account, right? Then I want to have some nice message. Agree or not? Guys, agree or not? Anyone? Anyone? Any clear? Any questions on this? I mean, am I clear, by the way?
No, actually, we should use if ID is zero, then we have to proceed only.
Yes. If not, I don't want to proceed, right? If ID is not
Yes.
equal to 0, then I don't want to proceed. Then what I'm going to do is echo hyphen I want to print it in red color. /e. Okay. Script is expected to be executed as a root user. Okay. So yeah, that's it. And then I just want to exit from there. If I want to exit from there, how can I do that? Anyone? I don't want to proceed further. Instead, I just want to say exit one. That means if someone tries to execute this action as a non-root account, okay, so in the beginning itself, it's not even going to execute this first command, and the first itself, it is going to break and come out. Let's try to show you that. Okay, bash. Can you see the script is expected to be executed as a root user or with sudo sh. Okay, you can also mention /t tab space sudo bash. Okay. And again, I don't want to mention the script name. How can I mention? How do I know the script name? Anyone? How do I know the script name? Anyone? $0. So sudo bash script name. So I don't care whatever the script it is. I come here and try to do that. Can you see this? Did I mention 001 frontend.sh? But how come it came? Question to anyone who is interested. Shailaja? Mrudula?
It will print the previous command and
No?
it will give.
No? Dollar question mark is to know the exit code. Then what is $0? $0 is going to print the script name, okay, which is a special variable. All right. Perfect. Okay. Now clearly it is saying bash. This is the one how to execute. Perfect. Now I also want so commands to be executed. Echo -e. Okay. Echo installing Nginx. Okay. Installing Nginx is something I would. Okay. And then proxy file is also something that should be there. Echo copying proxy file. Right. And then echo enabling Nginx. And then performing a cleanup. Okay. And then performing a cleanup. Then echo downloading frontend. Done. And then again, you need to use -o so that you won't get this mistake of the file already exists, so that by default it is going to override echo extracting the frontend. Done. And then starting echo frontend. Okay. Now come here and try to see this. No, it got failed. Why it is failing? What should I do? Anyone? Anyone?
We should use sudo.
Why sudo? Who is telling that? What will happen if I don't run it as a sudo? Script will fail. And why script will fail? Because the commands needs to be executed as a clear?
Yeah.
All right. So I could see under which scenario do we use the nullify? Okay, I'll show you. See, for example, Venugopal was asking under what situations do I need to nullify a output? See, you don't want the output to be shown on the screen, but at the same time, I don't want to save the output. I want to nullify it then and there itself. Okay. Whenever you're downloading a file, it says that downloading 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%. If it is coming 100 lines of cloud, I neither interested on saving it or displaying it. Immediately, I want to redirect and nullify it. Does it make sense, Venu? Venu?
Yeah, yes, madam.
Okay.
Got it.
So guys, is it clear by the way? So with whatever we learned in last 2 days, does it make sense? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now what else I want to do is, okay, so now I would like to execute the other sudo. Now installing Nginx, you are getting this output. I'm not interested about this output. I'm not interested on this output. What can I do? Let's see, let it complete first and see how it works. See, I'm not interested about this output. See, logs are going to play a very important role if something doesn't work. Okay, you can go and investigate the file and it's going to be very, very helpful. Okay, it's going to be very, very helpful to investigate. All right. Now, but if you look at this, we got a problem still. Okay, if any command is a failure, I do not want things to be proceeding further. Okay, at this point. Okay. If you look at this, I didn't supply the proxy file, so it is a failure, right? But I don't want that to be. Okay, let me try to show you that. Okay, any questions by the way, anyone? All right. So let me try to supply the proxy file first. Okay. So and at the same time, I have not supplied the proxy file, but it still looked for the proxy file and it has to fail. Okay, but it didn't fail. This is something I want to fix. Okay, this is a problem for me. So let's come here and try to fix it. Okay, let's try to add these pointers. Okay, if any command fails, if any command fails, okay, so this is very important point because see, if you look at this, if this is a failure, that means your reverse proxy will not work because there is no proxy file itself. So I want to action that. Okay, so how am I going to action that is also a separate story. Okay, so yeah. All right. Now what I'm going to do is, first okay, I supplied this right now. I want to give some color. Okay, how can I give a color? So I'm interested about some 35/E slash E 35M slash E 0M. Okay, so I want to do this all the times, all the times, all the times. Okay. And at the same time, you also need to add -e. And if you look at this, yes, this is good, right? But how many of you say we are making nonsense with this? Okay, I do not want the output to be here. Okay, what I want is I'm interested about routing the output /tmp. This is what I want to do. Okay, I do not want to see the output. Okay, so let's try to see how it works.
Manoj,
Double
extra
quotes to
quotes are
this.
there.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Above also.
Yeah, everywhere. Thank you. Yeah, this is what I want. Okay, when I do some mistake, I want all hands on deck. Okay, can you see this? Installing Nginx, enabling Nginx, performing cleanup. Okay, downloading front end, extracting front end, and starting front end. Perfect. Now, I want to say whether it is successful or not. Okay, so copying proxy, success, enabling Nginx, success, performing cleanup, success, downloading front end, success, extracting front end, success, starting front end, success. I want some messages like that. What should I do? Anyone? Vikram, Venu, go ahead. What should I do?
We can use exit code here.
Exactly. So that means I can do like this, right? Maybe I can use some if condition. If $? Hyphen equal to 0, then if echo hyphen e /e else, you can see failure, right? So can I do this? So this way, if there is any error, I'll get to know then and there itself. Agree or not? I'll push the code. Can you see this? Installing Nginx access, download is success, this is success, but I'm getting this in this color. Why am I getting in white color? I want this to be in green color. So why it's not coming? Echo hyphen e / okay, I'm using some color mistakes. Okay, and if you see this, I made a mistake. Observe this. Okay, I want everyone to observe. I made a mistake. Okay, so I made a mistake of using extra space. So how many times I'm correcting it? Anyone? How many places I have to correct? I made a mistake. The same pattern I'm using n number of times. I made a mistake. I'm correcting it n number of times, which sounds bad, right? What if I use it 100 times? That doesn't make sense, right? So if you see this success, success, success on the top, it was not a success. And again here, again, I don't want success to be with the red color. Instead, I want with the green color. Okay, replace 32 and 31, 32 and 31. So what are the opportunities for me here? Anyone? What are the opportunities for me here? After looking at this, what do you
We
think?
can use functions.
Exactly. Okay, what will happen if I use a function? I don't have to write, I don't have to run these many times. If I made a mistake, I don't have to go and correct those many times, right? So things are going to be quite easy if you use a function. Okay, again, I made a mistake here, again, I'm correcting, right? So 32 and 31. All right. So here I have an opportunity, and the opportunity is this. You see this? Okay. So the opportunity here is a function. So what I'm going to do is I'll declare a function. How I'm going to declare a function? I'll just say stat, open and close. Okay, and then I'm going to declare it. Cut this, and I'm going to put it. That's all. Okay, and how can I call it? I just say stat. Okay, here rather than using dollar question mark, I'll say $1. Okay, and I'm calling the function. Okay, I'm calling the function, and I'm supplying the first argument. And what is the first argument that I'm supplying? The exit code of the previous command. That means you're calling the status function with the first argument as an exit code. And when you call the function, and if the function is having an exit code as 0 or anything apart from this, okay, based on that you can get. Okay, so you don't have to write these many times. Okay, we are calling the function with the first argument, and the first argument is the exit code. All right, I reduce the number of lines of code from here and try to publish it and try to make a git pull. See this. Okay, and again I want this message to be coming up after a few lines. So all I can do is -e /t. Okay, now it will be coming up with some spaces, beautiful spaces. Okay. Okay. Now, next thing, I don't want to use color these many times. So rather what I want to do is I want to say color. Okay. So maybe I can say color, 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 echo -e, like e /e 32M. Okay. /e 32M /e 0M. And I want to include everything that is available here. Okay, so we learned a special expression star, right? So arguments in the script. Okay, so this also includes, okay, or okay, arguments in the script, $1, $2, $3, how many number of arguments that we have supplied, right? Maybe I can come here and I can say $. Okay, this is the function, right? And in this function, okay, whatever the arguments that comes up, I want to be printed here. Okay, when you're calling the color, okay, and whatever the arguments that you supply, include everything. Okay, so this way you can use everywhere color. Okay, so here make a hyphen color, right? Make a hyphen, right? Color installing Nginx. Okay, that means this is you're calling a function, first argument and second argument. How many number of arguments that you supply will be fitted here because I'm using star hash. Okay, the same thing. So that's so that's all. Okay, now come here and try to publish and see how it works. Installing Nginx. Can you see this? No, green, both of them are same, right? Now I don't want that. So instead I want some nice color. So I said 33. Okay, so yeah, that's push. Now I don't have to come and change everywhere. Okay, because it's changed. Installing Nginx success, 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 success. Okay, this is one way. I think yellow doesn't sound good. 35. How about 35? Okay, perfect. 35 sounds good. Okay. And I feel I'm using this. See, whenever you use something for X number of times, try to declare it as a variable. Okay, always come here, try to declare it as a variable. Okay, log is equal to this. Okay, so everywhere, wherever you want to use, just come here and try to set log. That's all. So in case in future, if the log file changes, all you need to do is just come here and change the file name at the top. Okay, so that is a problem statement I'm trying to address. That's it. Okay, line number 25.
Boss.
Yes. Okay, this is the mistake. Come here. So if the script is not being executed as a root user, we are failing it. Okay, what we are doing is we are doing validation. Okay, what we are doing is validation. Okay, this is called as validation. Okay, it's also called as exception handling. All right. Are we clear so far? Anyone? Any questions? Anyone? And also, if you look at this, I'm using front end multiple times, right? So what I can also do is I can say component. Okay, I can also say not that. Okay, so everywhere I'm using this. Okay, I just want to replace it with this. Okay. Okay, because I don't want anything to use if we are using the same more than once. Okay, this is not a recommended practice at all. Okay, right, this is the recommended way. So whenever you use a variable more than once, it's always recommended to parameterize it and try to use it. Okay, this is one thing. So the next thing, I also want to terminate the script if the proxy.conf is not supplied. If the proxy.conf is not supplied. Okay, so how can I do that? Okay, how can I do that? I think we learned it, right? Go to the operators. So here, -f file. Okay, so we can use this. If the file doesn't, if true, if the file exists. If the file doesn't exist, then stop. Okay, maybe you can also declare it. Come here and go to the top. Okay. If then f5 echo, and the name of the file is maxi.com. Ensure you supply it, and I just want to exit with some exit code. Okay, so the exit
Square bracket is missing.
yeah, I'll do that. Exit one if it is failure. Okay, and here yeah, thank you. All right. Okay, that's it. True. Let's see. Okay, proxy file is not present. Okay. How can I handle it? Uh, uh,
Can we check in the folder itself using grep option whether proxy.conf file is there? If the condition met, then
1 second. 1 second. Proxy file presence. Or I'll just say color proxy file presence. Okay. Start $? If not, okay. If not, else proxy file is not present, ensure you supply it, and I'll break it. Exit 1. That's it. Okay, proxy file presence. Success. Okay. If you don't supply the file, I think someone has asked, Venu, are you clear now? We are also validating if the proxy file is there or not. If the proxy file is not there, I don't want to proceed. I want to stop there and there itself. Okay. The next thing is backend, and this is a very straightforward thing. Okay. Least trustful candidate. Okay. And again, all these things should be coming up, right? Okay, and component is MySQL, and it is also expected to run as a root user, MySQL.log. Okay, all right. So again, I just want to reroute all the outputs to elsewhere, right? Log. Again, you should not hardcode the passwords in the code. Another problem statement, okay? Passwords should not be hard-coded in the code. Keep this point. Okay, you should never ever hard-code the values, okay? So this is also our NFR, okay? Passwords should not be hard-coded in the code. Okay, this is also another problem statement. So what I want to do is, okay, let's start, okay? So color, installing, color, installing $component, done, color, enabling $component, done, color, done, and color, configuring $component root password. All right. Yeah. Done. Now let's try to connect to a separate server which we have created, and let's try to deal that. Okay. Alias gp is equal to git pull, Okay, I would have baked this command into the image, but if I do that, you don't know what is happening in the background. That's the reason I didn't do that. Okay, and this component I would like to dedicate to the MySQL sudo set hyphen host name MySQL. Now metadata git clone cd to expense. Okay, bash 002. Obviously, it's gonna fail. Okay, and if you look at this, I have not given the script name. Okay, this is have saved my time, right? So this is another thing. Now it has to be executed as a root user, right? So the bash installing MySQL. It's gonna take time. Okay, gp command not found. Why? I think I made it right. Okay, that's fine. Let it run. I know we are 6 minutes on the top of the schedule, but just a request, since we are in the middle of the component, I really don't want things to be drifted. Just bear with me for a couple of minutes. It's taking time, but that's expected. So let's wait for it. But another problem statement I want to make, okay, even if I go with the backend component 003-backend, these 3 steps still remains the same, right? Right? These 3 steps still remains the same. So if I have 3 components, I'm writing it 3 times in 3 different files. Though, what if I have 10 components and 20 components? Everywhere are you going to write these 24 lines? Don't you think it doesn't make sense? Vikram, what do you think? You got the problem statement?
Yeah, we can make
Can put
this as a
everything in a
script and we
function
can
and
call
call
it.
that function.
Where? Again, these are already functions, right?
No, we can make it this as a separate script and we can call it
Exactly.
inside the.
So whenever you're having common patterns across common files, we can create a file called as a common and enclose everything on the top of this. Okay, that is another optimization that I'm looking. Okay, and the reason why success command not came up was because I didn't mention stat $?. Okay, that is a missing entity. Okay, let's try to come here. Now it's completed though, sudo MySQL. Okay, now I would like, again, I'm keep on telling. So as per the NFR, non-functional requirements, if you want to consider something as completed, ensure whenever you rerun the code, it should complete without failure, right? But if you come here and try to rerun, it fails. I know the reason. And okay, hold on. It's not gonna fail. Git pull. Okay, alias gp is equal to git pull. Okay. And if you come here and if you try to see this, installing MySQL, and then it will be completed, enabling MySQL. And if you see this, password has already been set. You cannot reset the password. Okay, can anyone tell me what is the reason for it? Anyone? Anyone? I'll take a
MySQL
pause.
is already created with the user of root pass.
That means earlier the default password was some XYZ. The password was already been set up. Now you're trying to set up one more time, right? That's the reason it is a failure. Agree or not? Agree? So non-functional requirement is a failure. Okay, so how can I do that? Okay, so how can I deal that? I do not want to reset the password if it is already set. Okay, that means I do not want to execute this statement itself when password reset was already completed. How do I come to know if the password reset was already done or not? So maybe what I can do is sudo MySQL show databases is a command, right? If this command is successful, then I can say it is successful, right? So sudo MySQL -u root -p. Okay. Okay, 1 minute. So how can we deal that?
Password, I
Any
think you have
suggestions?
not password you have not passed correctly. Let's see, like, is
I think it's expense at the rate one.
app?
Expense app at the rate
Expensive.
one. Okay. Still. MySQL -h -u root -p expense at the rate one.
Instead of localhost, we can give the private IP, something like that.
Okay. But if you want to connect from somewhere, okay, this is how you are going to connect, right? So first, what I want to do is, first, I want this to be executed only if I'm able to run the commands. That means only how can I validate whether the database password is already been set up or not. So first, I'll be trying to connect using the password that I'm setting up. If it is already been set up, I don't want to proceed. Can I go with that pattern? Like, okay, all right. So maybe what I can do is, oh, is this the password that I set up through script?
I think sudo we are missing here.
Not needed, by the way. So using a password on the command line is not recommended, okay? Okay, I know what is the reason, but through automation, I want to make sure whether it works. Okay, maybe what I can do is, so I can use a pipe function, echo show databases. Show databases is a command. Okay, so when you put a pipe, this is called as a pipe. What pipe does? Pipe is going to send the output of first command as an input to the second command. So MySQL -u root -p, okay, -p. It may or may not work, but we'll proceed, okay? If this is true, okay, that means first is going to be, this will be the output. The output of first command will be an input to the second command. So when it is been executing, show databases is the command that will be executed. Okay, and if it is successful, start $? Okay, so and if it is successful, then only I want to proceed. So if I'll say $? N is equal to 0. If the above is a failure, if the above is a failure, if the above is a failure, then only I want to proceed, then only I want to configure it. Okay, so before even I proceed this, first I'll try to run MySQL -u root with this, and it's going to execute this. And if it is a successful command, N is not equal to 0, then it's not going to configure the password. So let me try to deal that if it works or not. When you see this warning, configuring the root password, password already set, you cannot reset the password, but it didn't really happen. Configuring MySQL root password, that command shouldn't even be executing. that means it is a failure. So we need to come up with something. Okay, so some validation is something is really needed. How are we going to deal, or what are we going to deal, is something we'll see tomorrow. Okay, and also we got a warning rooted the local host. So yeah, we'll see that tomorrow. Okay, any questions, anyone?
So, Manoj, can we use the for loop to run the all the commands which we are running DNF, system, CTL?
For loop.
Because those are the commands only, right?
I think again that is just like you're putting all the commands in the script and iterating it. How it is far different from this without any context. You can definitely do that. Put all of them. This is first command, second command, third command, fourth command, run a loop. Yes, job is done. But functionally, it's not correct, right? You're meeting functional requirements, but non-functional, it is not correct, right? End of the day, it should have a presentation. It should have some context. It should have some exception handling, not just doing the job.
Okay,
Agree?
for with each command actually,
Yes.
error handling will be different. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
understood.
Yeah.
And means I'm not able to understand this multiple exit codes. Means are those codes are fixed in case of error, in case of success? Exit code 1, exit code
You can
3.
define whatever you want. And if you come here, in my case, I'm just putting failure. When something fails, I want an exit code 1 so that I'll have an idea. If anywhere I got an exit code, that means something is failure within my script itself.
Okay, if I will give exit code 3, then
It
it
shows as
doesn't
exit 3.
matter. Actually,
It really
I will
doesn't
be
matter.
aware. I will be aware about it that 3 is the failure.
Yeah. So here it
Okay.
matters. Okay. So if I get an exit code 2, that means some service is a failure. And if I get an exit code 1, that means the script is executed as a non-functional user. So for example, I'm just pushing it, right? So try to run this, and I'm going to run it as a non-root user. So the exit code that I would get is exit code 1. Can you see this? Because
Okay.
I told.
Mhm.
All right.
Okay, understood.
And
So I have
also,
one. Yeah, please go ahead. Sorry.
and also the password, I do not want to supply it from here. Okay, what I want is root pass. Okay, so pass is equal to $1. I really do not want to hardcode the password anywhere. So rather what I want to do is I just want to supply it from the command line. Okay. Can you see this? So this way you can also keep the secrets out of the code. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. But again, this exception handling is something it's going to take a few minutes of time. We'll see that tomorrow. Again, we already clocked 15-20 minutes extra time. I really don't want. Okay. This is called as fulfilling the requirement non-functionally. Okay. Again, we'll see further optimizations tomorrow. Just wait for tomorrow. All right. That's it. And again, tomorrow we'll fulfill most of the functional requirements. We still see a caveats. And how are we going to fix is something we're going to see. All right. And that's it. That's for today. Any questions, anyone?
The indirect input is not clear to me, but I think
Which
I
input?
will
Come again.
indirect input. I think you cover
Indirect input. I haven't discussed anything about indirect input.
redirect input something.
No. So redirectors are of 3 types. Two types, input redirection and output redirection. What are you going to do with the output that you are
No,
getting is called
not
as
this. Not this one. Means we are calling some with
which
the
one are we discussing?
less than arrow. We are calling, right?
Input redirection. Input.
In
It's not our input redirector.
yeah, input redirect. Actually, those are
Yeah.
very new terms to me.
That's fine.
Why.
That's fine. So every day, if you're hearing a lot of new terms, that means I am teaching something new that you don't know.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
So every day, if you feel that, okay, I know this, that means I'm just coming here and doing some time pass. So if you are hearing new words, that means we are learning something new. That is a very quite positive sign. That's totally fine. Okay, Sumit?
Yeah, so redirect means input means I want to.
I think you didn't understand this point. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Okay, yes, yes.
Tomorrow we'll inject the schema that comes up as a part of the backend. We'll see that
Yes,
tomorrow.
correct, okay. Understood. Thank you.
All right, that's it. If anyone has any questions, you can ask. If not, we are good. All right, that's it then. That's for today. And we're going to meet tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. And that's it. Signing off. See you guys.
Thank
And this is how I'm going to go and terminate all the instances. Okay. So guys, throughout the training, we'll try to keep the problem statement and we'll try to boil them down. Okay. We don't implement things. We'll rather than implementing something, we'll try to implement something, we'll identify the problems and we work towards in a reverse direction, mitigating the problems. Okay. That's how in reality in projects are going to work. Okay. It's never like you'll have a big project and then you'll do the things. No, you do the things, you'll get an issue, you'll fix it. Okay. First, you always aim towards the minimum viable product. And on the top of the MVP, you will keep on adding the bells, whistles, which is referred as non-functional requirements, which falls under the compliance requirements of the organization. All right. Hope things are interesting. Venugopal, clear?
Yeah, yes, man.
Guys, are things interesting? So if you remember, whatever we are discussing is something that we discussed last 2 days. Okay. Learn the basics, apply. Learn the basics, apply. Learn the basics, apply. This is the pattern that we are going to proceed. All right, guys. That's it. That's for today. Thank you.